may soon be gone.
We can work it out. The Beatles wrote it perfectly. The elections may be over, but families tend to argue over, of course, political issues and many other things. Here to give us tips on how to be civil this Thanksgiving with relatives who may have different political beliefs is Ashley Virtue from the National Conflict Resolution Center. Nice to have you here.
Thank you.
All right, let's get to this because as I was mentioning to you just a second ago, when I go to dinner with my family, my mom and dad and my sister and my brothers, we pretty much see life pretty much the same way. But when I have dinner with my children, it's a whole
other thing, huh?
And kids get hot under the collar about different issues. And so let's start off with the thing, I'm always right. My view is the only view you should accept, and you're dumb if you, it's kind of like letting go of your ego, right?
Right. So as you can probably imagine from our name at the National Conflict Resolution Center, we deal with this a lot. And we've actually had people calling in recently going, you know, what am I going to do this holiday season, engaging with my family who feels differently than I do politically. And sadly, we've even seen some people who are opting to not spend holidays with their family just to avoid these types of discussions. So good for you, because you're having them at least.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, I think what we do is we kind of subscribe to this contentious notion of right versus wrong. We've kind of started villainizing each other. And if I'm right, you must be wrong. And there's no way to have a healthy conversation when we're looking at the world that way. So get rid of that idea of right and wrong and just try to start to understand people's opinions the way they ought to.
That's a very grown up. This whole thing is very grown up. And well, sometimes we're not grown up. But let's talk about listening, because one of the things I like to do, especially when I'm doing an interview, is to listen to what you have to say and then respond, and either to agree or disagree. But listening is important.
Listening is important. When you think of conflict resolution, that's kind of the golden rule. But it's more than just not interrupting. I think a lot of times we feel like I'm listening to you, I'm not interrupting, and I've checked the box and I've done my piece. But really what listening is thoughtfully hearing what the other person has to say and not just reloading your own thoughts in your brain while they're talking.
That's
and
pretend
waiting.
Listening.
That's pretend listening. Exactly. But we all do it. I mean, it's so natural to do, but we're not really hearing them if we're focused on that. So listen, respond to what they've said, and then, you know, you'll get the same respect in return, hopefully.
And this is the thing, because I talk about pretend listening because a lot of times we just don't really hear what the other person said.
Right.
And you may miss something you could learn from that. All right, let's talk about being curious.
Right. So all issues, disagreements kind of come from this idea of there's underlying values that are met or not met. And so really try to be curious, not just about the person's maybe political stance about something, but what's the underlying value that they want to see met from having that stance. So an example that we see at National Conflict Resolution Center a lot is the issue of, say, gun control. And people are highly emotional about that, really coming from a place where it's hard to talk about. But underlying for both sides of that debate on gun control is really this issue of safety, right? Both sides really feel this need for safety. So if we can get to that value, of that need, and talk about that instead of the laws and the politics and the emotional stuff, we can actually possibly move that issue forward.
I'm done with you, Ashley. I don't want to listen to this anymore. I've set my mind. You know, this is the thing. You know, I hear that at the table. I'm done. I can't deal with you anymore. It's over.
Right.
That's such a hard and fast thing to do, especially at dinner, and it can be really destabilizing to the party and to the festive thing. No one's celebrating. They're arguing. They're not having fun. They're not enjoying the fact that we're all still on this earth and we're all together, right?
Right, right. So at the end of the day, if you do have that really contentious family member, and you know everybody's got probably the one who just really wants to soapbox or create an issue, you know, just return to like a shared value that you all share. Celebrate the fact that you are all together, and return to that, and that family is so important.
I think a lot of my colleagues here, Lauren included, will say that I tend to be provocative, and sometimes I say things just to get a rise out of people.
Okay.
Should I not do that at dinner?
Your family probably knows that about you, and so they're probably ready for it. But you know, be ready to listen in return, I would say.
Perhaps maybe I should hold my powder at least once, right, during the holidays.
Hear what they have to say.
But
too.
I appreciate what you said about you know, celebrating what we have in common together and enjoy each other's kind of ideas and things. But this has been, I mean, in your center, have you noticed that there's been a rise in this because of, you know, where we are politically, where we are in a lot of things?
We have, yeah. We're having a lot more people who who are having this struggle with how are they going to have conversations with people they disagree with. And it's almost like we've forgotten that it's okay to disagree, and that there's a way to do it that's actually very healthy and can help move issues forward and create progress.
You know, on social media, you see people unfriending each other because of their political beliefs. That's also another just weird conflict.
Yeah, I mean, people are starting to either become very aggressive and butt up against each other or completely avoid it. And we can't tackle issues if we're doing either of those things.
Ashley Virtue, have a great Thanksgiving. Hope
You
yours is
too.
conflict-free.
Thank you.
Even though it's your job. Great to have you here. Thanks so
Thank
much for that.
you.
Great tips, and hopefully we will all pay attention to this great advice.